Wiegel won his second straight since returning from injury as OSU downed Mizzou 19-15. It looked on paper that Oklahoma State was going to get their biggest of the season in Columbia, Missouri against the Tigers, who came in unbeaten at 15-0 and on a 35-match winning streak. Add to that Missouri fans knew how monumental this duel was, so they packed the Hearnes Center in record numbers at 4,721, almost 2,000 more fans than the previous record crowd for the Tigers. They didn't get what they wanted, but they darn sure got their money's worth. It came down to the final two weights as Missouri held a 15-13 advantage going to 197 pounds. The problem for Missouri and the advantage for the Cowboys was Oklahoma State has two highly ranked experienced wrestlers at those weights, and Missouri had already sent their best wrestlers to the mat. Preston Wiegel, wrestling in just his second match in 2 months after beating Anthony McLaughlin of Air Force 2-0 last week, scored first in the match when unranked Wyatt Coling picked up his second stall call at the end of the second period, in which he spent it on his back. Wiegel rode out the entire period. The third started with Wiegel being called for hands to the face after a slap that was audible to the fans. Wiegel still had the riding time in his pocket, and he was able to get a takedown a few seconds later to secure the match and a 4-1 decision. Oklahoma State used the decision to go back in front 16-15, and for the first time since leading 7-6 after the 141-pound match. Wiegel, ranked 5th, stays unbeaten at 6-0. Leading by 1 thin point, second-ranked heavyweight Derek White made it interesting with Missouri's unranked Zach Elam. After a scoreless first period, White got the escape in the second to lead 1-0, but then Elam got the escape early in the third to tie it 1-1. The two wrestlers huffed and puffed through the final minute plus with little action, and that sent the match into sudden victory overtime. Elam, who had taken maybe one shot in regulation, took 2 quick shots in overtime that White defended, and then White took his and made it count, getting very deep on the Missouri wrestler's leg, leading to a 3-2-1 decision for White to go to 23-1 and Oklahoma State to stay unbeaten at 14-0. Missouri fell for the first time and saw their 35-match unbeaten streak come to an end. The Tigers are 15-1 for this season. The Cowboys' 125-pound quick-starting Nick Piccinini did his job as he came out and ran up big points in the first period against Missouri's Dak Punk. Piccinini kept pushing for points and finished leading on the scoreboard 10-2 at the end, and then adding the riding point time collected a major decision 11-2. Another great start with the 4th-ranked 125-pound wrestler, especially on the road in the turned-up atmosphere with a huge crowd packed into the Hearnes Center. Dayton Fix came back at 133 pounds and followed Piccinini's game plan with 3 first-period takedowns on 10th-ranked John Erneste. This was a big win for Fix in cementing his high ranking heading to the postseason. Fix picked up another takedown late as he never quit looking for points and fell just short of a major decision at 9-2. Oklahoma State led on the scoreboard 7-0. Give 4th-ranked veteran Jaden Ehrman. He has been a Cowboy killer with a pin last season in Stillwater of Dean Heil, and he came out battling 13th-ranked Cade Brock. Brock was called for locked hands early in the second period of a scoreless match, and then Ehrman, who started on the bottom, got the escape to lead 2-0, but that advantage wouldn't matter as less than a minute later Ehrman locked up Brock in a cradle and then gradually worked Brock to his back, and the official slapped the mat at 4:12 in the match for the fall. Missouri and the crowd were back in it, trailing 7-6. The early momentum erased 7th-ranked Missouri freshman Brock Mahler. He got through a bad position to take a 2-0 lead on Cowboys' 149-pounder Caden Getheller and led 2-0 in the second period. It looked like Mahler had decided to go with the same game plan as Piccinini and Fix had early in their matches, as Mahler was point-grabbing and 2 takedowns late to get a 10-4 decision. His riding time was just short of a minute, so Getheller backed off late to prevent a major decision. Mahler's 10-4 decision put Missouri up 9-7 on the scoreboard. The Tigers increased their lead at 157 pounds in a very tough match as Wyatt Sheets had his chances but lost a 6-5 decision to 17th-ranked Jarrett Jacques. Sheets got a quick duck under for a takedown at the end of the first period, and then after the first ended 3-3, Sheets' escape in the second put him up 4-3, but Jacques got a takedown at the edge of the mat and never trailed again in winning. It ended a personal 3-match winning streak for Sheets, who is trying to lock down 157 pounds for the postseason. Chandler Rogers in his second match back regained some momentum for the Pokes as he ran up an early 6-1 lead that included 2 takedowns, one on a roll-through and the other on a defensive counter on Missouri's 14th-ranked Connor Flynn. Rogers held on to win a 7-5 decision and move his record to 16-2. Rogers is ranked 10th and moving up. Oklahoma State moved up to trailing 12-10. It got worse before it got better as the Tigers' second-ranked Daniel Lewis wrestling his final home match dominated Joe Smith. Smith is one of the Cowboys along with Jacob Smith that could be fighting to be around for the postseason, as the lineup in shuffling. Lewis won 7-0 even picking up his stall point, and Mizzou led 15-10. Another loss may have been too much to overcome, and 184-pound Jacob Smith took care of his business with a 7-3 decision over 16th-ranked Dylan Wisman. Smith wrestled efficiently and ran his record to 22-3, and he is ranked 8th at 184 pounds, but is moving down to 174 to make room for Dakota Gear, moving down from 197 to make room for Wiegel.